Good morning and welcome. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living here in Fullerton. And this morning we're going to start off with our purpose statement. So I invite you to say it along with me. We are a loving spiritual community, empowering all to live healthy and successful lives through practicing the principles of science of mind. And I'm Carol Riseling. I'm your practitioner and host this morning. And we're just going to start right off today with a meditation. So I invite you all to just relax and get comfortable. And we'll take a deep breath together and slowly let it go. And we just turn within to the center of our being, allowing our minds and our hearts to come together. For today we are celebrating the oneness and the togetherness of love. And we have so much love for our church family, for those of you at home. And we just recognize and celebrate that divinity within each one of us. Father, Mother, God, we know that we are all connected no matter where we may be. We are one in spirit, one in life, one in mind, one in peace, and one in love. And no matter what we see occurring, no matter what discord and chaos there seems to be, we know that God is right there at the center of each one of us, at the center of all this activity, at the center of change. And we know that our consciousness is being lifted as love fills each one of our hearts. And it is from this place of oneness I bless our service this morning, and I know it is whole, perfect, and complete for each one of us here and each one of us at home. And there are blessings for all of us that have made this service possible for us to enjoy. Blessings for Tomoko, who's here recording our service. Blessings for Tommy and for Michael, for providing the fabulous music we enjoy so much. Blessings for my fellow practitioners, for holding us all in prayer. Blessings for our Board of Trustees, who lovingly take care of the business of this church. And blessings for each member of our congregation. I know that they feel the love we have for them, and we feel it back. And I speak a word of blessing for our minister, Reverend Dr. Bill Salisbury. I know his message today will be perfect and inspiring and filled with love. And there are blessings of healing for our country, for those that are essential workers, for those in our health care, for our leaders, knowing that the right decisions are made and that they come from a place of love. I know that all beliefs of fear and discord are simply melted away and replaced with faith and love. For God is the one power, and we are all safe, loved, whole, and healthy. And so it is.
need to be still and let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me. When this old world starts to push and shove me, I need to be still and let God love me.
Thank you, Michael and Tommy. Let's see, today I have a reading from our founder, Ernest Holmes, and this is from the great little book, Science of Mind, 365 Days a Year. And it's a quick and easy read. It's great, and we have it here in the bookstore. When you come back, you can get it. And let's see. Ernest says, we must have a firm conviction that all people live in God, and we must have a deep realization that we are all one in this universal spirit that is God. There is a place where we begin and leave off physically, but there is no place where we begin and leave off mentally or spiritually. Our minds merge with the minds of others, and as they meet, some silent force within us attracts or repels automatically in accord with our thought patterns. If we do not merge with others in cooperation, in unity, and in happiness, we may be certain that there is something in us that feels it has been rebuffed or rejected. Here is where an adjustment needs to be made. If you want sunshine, step out into the sunshine. If you have locked yourself away in a dark closet, why not come out into the light? If you have been feeling that everything is against you and that no one really cares for you, know that God is in everyone and meet the God in others. Just see what happens. If you think that all the fears and failures and hurts that you have been carrying around for years are something over which you have no control, come to realize that you are born out of life. The thing that entered into you when you were born is God, the living spirit. You are one with everything because you are one with God. And when you recognize this truth, you can go forth to meet joy and love.
In this very room, there's quite enough love for all the world. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through every fear. One spirit, one spirit. Is in this very room, in this very room.
All right. Thank you, Michael and Tommy. How great is this? So good morning and welcome to today, Sunday, June 7th. I'm Reverend Bill Salisbury. It's my absolute pleasure to be here. And Carol, I just want to tell you that reading was so apropos, and Michael, the song, so apropos for today on so many levels. I want to talk about the elephant in the room, because we have to have been living under a rock to not know that there are forces of ignorance, prejudice, bigotry, hate, violence, brutality, and fear at work in our world today, and at work in our country today. Although I didn't think I would ever be saying that. And these misuses and abuses of spiritual power are threatening to rent the very fabric of our society and the very fabric of our humanity. And that's why also, apropos today, is the title of this talk, The Vision of Wholeness. Because in spite of all the untoward things going on, and from so many different directions, the fact of the matter is, it is up to us to not allow ourselves to get sucked into that swamp, that mire, to maintain our transcendence above those sorts of worldly conditions. And the way we can do it is not by simply saying, oh, me, I'm spiritual, I'm above that. No, it's about hunkering down and having that vision. You know, there's a common denominator. Here's another little quickie fourth grade arithmetic lesson. There's a common denominator between, I mean, we can't talk about juggling, adding, totaling, keeping track of half of this and a third of that and a quarter of that and a 14th of that. We have to have that common denominator for it to make any sense and not be jumbled. What is that common denominator? It's God. And in spite of all the things that are happening today, and make no mistake about it, today is not the only time these things have ever happened. They've been going on forever. For some reason, it's just that this underbelly of this sort of thing is coming into the fore right now, and it's requiring our intention to heal it. And the only way we can do that is by recognizing that in everybody, everything, there is nothing in this manifest universe that does not have the common denominator of God. That's where we're from. That's what we're made of. That's who we are. So, I know, we're not going to say, I'm God. But we are going to say, God is me. God is expressing as me, and God is expressing as that person over there that under certain conditions I want to refer to as other, or as less than, or as different than. But there is no other. There's no less than. There's no different than. There are people who, by way of their free choice and volition, choose to act in ways that some of us would consider to be unspiritual. We can't stop that. But the only way we can address it is with what we would like to have from everybody. We can only address it, we can only meet it and greet it and swallow it and cover it and bury it and hug it in love. Because it's not going away any other way. Martin Luther King told us so long ago, and he wasn't the first, by the way, but you can't dispel hate with hate. You can only dispel it with love. So we need to take our love and just kind of nudge our way in and say, hey, world, here we are. I don't know how this happened, but here's what I do know. We are all expressions of God. And we are all neighbors. And we're all family. And, you know, God knows we got billions of family members we haven't met yet personally. But here they are, and here we are. And right now, the only way that we can bring some sense of community and unity, that oneness that we are, that wholeness that we were meant to be, that wholeness that we came from, is to simply understand that we're all in this together. We're all one. And surely we can have disagreements and have them, this is going to sound backwards coming from me, but we can have them intellectually. Intellectually is not a way we can meet God. Okay? We cannot get there intellectually. If we are going to depend on our five senses, which are great for navigating the world, but if we're going to depend on them to keep peace and love and joy and harmony and unity at work for all of us, for everybody, there's no exclusions here. But if we're going to make that work, we can't do it with our five senses. We have to go beyond that, because those senses aren't enough to get us there. We have to think with our hearts. We have to act with our hearts. We have to lead with our hearts. We have to hear with our hearts. And we have to understand with our hearts that love is the only cure that has ever been for anything. And right now, as much as any other time, is a time that we need to bring it to the fore, and we need to make sure that we include everybody in that. Because that's the only way we're ever going to fulfill our soul's deepest need. And what is that? The deepest need of our soul is to recognize, become aware of our presence in God. And we can't do that by ourselves, because we're not here by ourselves. We're here with each other. And I don't mean just each other in here. We're here with each other in this human race. And we need to understand that and to act accordingly. So, what's your answer to, I don't like something about you? Let's go back to the 60s for a minute. I love you, man. Okay? I mean, you know, we don't want to be trite about it, but the fact of the matter is that's the only way that we're ever going to reconcile our differences here on this human plane. And it's not that we have a God that's unapproachable or distant. You know what we say? Where's God? He's right here. He's right now. Actually, we usually say it's right here. It's right now in this teaching. But they're just getting to the point, you know, where that sometimes I just feel like we're talking about a boulder or a nightstand, you know. I want to put some personality to God. Because if I'm made in the image and likeness of God, surely God has some personality. And I think we have to fall back on the teachings that have been alive and well in our humanness for so many thousands and thousands of years, going back to the days of Jesus and way back before that, back to the days when most spirituality and religion came out of India and places even farther removed distance in time and place than that. But I'm going to tell you, if Jesus or Krishna or Buddha or Muhammad or God were ever alive, they're alive right this minute. And they're available. Because if you have something that's in perpetual existence, it has to be knowable. And we have to know that the truths they told us were valid, are valid, will always remain valid, always. It's one thing we know about truth. Truth is going to work, it's going to operate without the knowledge, the consent, or the cooperation of mankind. Because the law, remember, God is double aspects: love, law. Love guarantees a place for us always and guarantees that nothing we can do, any of us, can be ultimately held against us as anything other than simply making an error, making a mistake. And at the end of the day, that's all reconciled by that love of the divine. And then the law, of course, guarantees that out of what seems to be chaos at any given time comes order. That's just the way it works. And it works like that every way, every time. It helps us if we're, however, cognizant of that, if we're aware of it, if we understand it. A river flowing through the land gives life to everything around it. Do you agree with that? I mean, realtors call that riparian interest, right? But where there's water, there's life. If that river gets dammed somehow, and the water gets redirected, the life is basically removed from the area it was in, and now it's transplanted over to here. That's not a punishment. Well, if we're going to say that that land where the river used to run is being punished, I guess we could say that. But the fact of the matter is, it's only because that's the way it works. The water brings the life to it. And if it's redirected, then the water's taking the life away from it, putting it somewhere else. Isn't that the same way with us? If we dam up our spirituality and we redirect it to some other area rather than it coming right through us and using us as that 100% organ through which it impacts the world, we've redirected it. And you know what? We all do that. To lesser or greater extent, sometime or other. Or if we're going to have a truth or dare session, let me begin. I dare say there was a time when I might have done something that I later came to regret, or think that wasn't my highest and best good, or for the highest and best good of other people also. But the life that that water brings to the country is just like the life that that consciousness or the awareness of it brings to us. It's just, we talk about a drop of ocean water containing all the qualities of the ocean. And it's true. One little tiny dinky drop contains all the qualities that are in that entire ocean. Doesn't contain all of them, but contains the qualities. That's like us. We're little drops of God expressions. So within us, we have all the qualities that are there. But we get to pick and choose which qualities we pronounce and which ones we don't. And the only way that we can get to that perfect harmony that we came from, that we would like to return to right here, right now on this planet, the only way we can get there is to vision for that good. We have to visualize it. We can't be visioning it. We cannot be visualizing peace and love and harmony and unity and oneness if we're muttering under our breath about those dirty so-and-sos. I don't care which side we're talking about. We can't do it. We have to understand that the person you like the least is 100% made of God's stuff. And that person probably doesn't like me or you, whoever we're talking about, any better than we like that person. I was trying to avoid that by moving that. But the only way we can make this work is by visualizing that peace. Remember, you can't hold conflicting thoughts. We cannot hold thoughts of peace and thoughts of non-peace in our mind at the same time. So let's still be giving lip service to, well, I think this and I think that, and then say, oh, God, we need the oneness. Hello? We're like kind of missing the point here. Yeah, there was a French, I don't know, officer, diplomat, person in a position somewhere, just got to move to a position. This is back like the turn of the last century, I think, and he went to his new post, and there's a little courtyard there, and he calls the gardener, and he says, I want to put this type of tree right there in the center. And the gardener says, oh, I don't think so. It takes that tree 100 years to reach maturity. And the guy says, oh, it takes 100 years, huh? He says, yeah. He says, you know what? We better get started right now then. And when do we need to start? So it's taken all these thousands and tens of thousands of years for us struggling and sometimes buffering up one against the other. And it may take a lot longer yet. It may take 100 years. But if it's going to, we need to start right now. Because time is a-wasting. Anyway, I mentioned that about the French diplomat, Marshal, whatever he was, because that line was used some years later by our very own JFK, Jack Kennedy. And he said, he was wrapping up a speech about, there was some unrest, imagine that, some unrest back in the 60s, okay? And he said, today a world of knowledge, a world of cooperation, a just and lasting peace may be years away. But we have no time to lose. Let us plant our trees this afternoon. And that's what I say to us. You know what? This is this afternoon. Every wall is built one brick at a time. Every adventure is taken one step at a time. Life goes on one beat of the heart at a time. So we don't need to bog down worrying about what the future's going to bring, because what the future is going to bring, we determine right now in this moment, we determine what the future's going to bring. But we don't get to determine it for the entire world by ourselves. So, back to Gandhi. Where are we going to make the change? We gotta be that change. We've got to be that change we want to see. If we have disagreement, rather than backing up and throwing stones at whoever we disagree with, we need to come a little bit closer, give them a hug, and sit down and say, hey, we got some differences. We need to work this out. Wouldn't that be the spiritually mature way to handle that? And we can't just, I know, get up from our chair and go and do that. We have to have a vision for it. We have to visualize like athletes and musicians do, seeing the activity take place exactly as they want it to do. We have to vision that. We have to vision it together. We have to vision it as a group. We have to vision it as a prelude to becoming that unity of people, that community that we want so desperately to see. And we have to do it right now. We have to do it by vision, because remember, touch, taste, smell, see, hear, it's not going to get us there. The only thing that's going to get us there is forgiveness, understanding, and gratitude. All mixed in that big pot with that big ladle. Throw in a little love, throw in a little harmony and a little unity and a little joy, and we get it there. So when we get that vision in our hearts, that's how we make it spread. We don't make it spread by talking about it, by yelling about it, by wadding it up and throwing things about it. We get it to spread by opening our hearts in two directions. Open is both directions. Open is going out to, and open is receiving back from. And I think if we just keep that in mind, our vision of a united world and that heaven on earth that we're always talking about, because it is right here and right now. It's just that sometimes we tuck it back in a closet, you know, or we build a wall around it, or we throw a tent over it. But we got to get rid of the wall, get rid of the tent, get rid of all that, and just with open hearts and no other agenda except living in joyful harmony with one another, let's just say, world, I love you. Let's do this. And of course, one of the ways we accomplish these things, and one of the ways we get to go into that visioning period that allows us to help move ourselves and the world forward, is by prayer. Is that right? We're a prayerful community. So let's just know together that in this world, we know that God will fulfill our vision, the vision of wholeness. When we take leave of our senses, so to speak, and start operating from those senses that we are not that familiar with, but we know we have those senses of compassion and intuition and loving and heartfulness. We talk about the global heart. It is a global heart. And like any other heart, every once in a while it may get that arrhythmic beat to it. No cause for despair. We just go within, recognize and realize and become aware of our oneness in that perfection that is God. Because God is perfect, whole, and complete. And we as little droplets of expressions of God, we are whole and perfect and complete also. When we attend to our wholeness, our completeness, and our perfection. It's within us, it's within each of us to spread that love, to share that joy, to do our part in becoming one as a community built in love, trust, joy, peace, honor. I know this is the case. I know that we know how to do this. And I know that as each of us goes within and visions that future of love and of harmony, that it just expands the world for us in so many ways. I'm grateful for this. I know it's the truth. And I just release this word into that law that has to say yes to my demand for peace, love, joy, and wholeness. Has to say yes. And I say, thank you, God. Let's anchor this by saying together, and so it is.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one in Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God.
So once again, let me just thank you for your continued service here and your continued support. And just knowing that even though we're not all here in the sanctuary this week, although many more of us will be next week, we are so grateful for your continued financial support, making sure that we are prosperous enough to continue to do our good work in the world, in the community and in the world. So I know that we do live in a world of abundance. And as we freely and joyfully give from that abundance to our spiritual center, to our community, we know that love and life multiplies everything we give and brings it back to us in one form or another. For this, we're sincerely grateful and thankful.
I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to all inspire, but not have love. My words are vain as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess, and striving so my love profess, but not begin by love within, the prophet soon turns strangely thin. Our hearts control, our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are free. Amen, 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 amen.
Michael Whitney, Tommy Cosentino. You know, the music just doesn't get any better anywhere than right here every Sunday. So just so we know, our practitioners are always here and available to pray for you. You can reach us by phone, you can send us an email, you can come down. It doesn't matter what the occasion, what the issue, we're up for it. And we're just dying to do that with you. So let's just know where you are. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called love. It is this thing called life. I get there by way of my vision. I accept this. I honor this.